dies out.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yes.
That means if it's still surviving,
Yes.
it's not because people have followed it, but because the beauty lies in it being organic.
That's the history of India, that we have assimilated all the invaders who came, we took in their goodnesses, we kept our own, and then there was osmosis, and traditions grew, things were added on, and we survived everything. And here we are today as still a very traditional people. As far as the rest of the world is concerned, we are still regarded as the most traditional people.
Right. And when tradition gets a so-called negative connotation,
Yes.
I think those are the rigid rules
Yes.
which we somehow cling to because of perception, because of, I think, pressure.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yeah. Well, there's also decadence.
Okay.
You know, something that doesn't grow, it stagnates. And what stagnates deteriorates.
All right.
And that's why you had these very great traditions like the Romans that, you know, rose to such glory and then just wilted away. The Greeks, the Egyptians, you know, the Ottomans, they were very great traditions. They achieved a lot in fields of art, culture, engineering, science, but then they just decayed because they didn't grow. They didn't have the spirit. You know, these they grew outwardly, but they left its spirit behind.
Okay.
But we grew with our spirit, and for that we have to thank people like Mahatma Gandhi. You know, although my generation never saw him, but everything that he said became the conscience of our generation.
And I think the beauty lies in the fact that even today, when young people are growing up, they see something. They could also see something which probably may not in the long term be sustainable.
Yeah.
But they also have alternatives.
Yes.
You know, and there are times, and as you said, when we ask the questions, that time is right. It could be any age. At that time, just the fact that you have an alternative is so empowering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, and also you've seen the movement of that alternative.
Right.
So
it's relevant.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we could dwell a little more after we come back from another short break onto how do we ensure that better alternatives remain relevant.
Yes.
You write about that, you also work on that.
Yes.
But right now, another short break. Welcome back. We're still in conversation with Yogi Mahajan, somebody who writes extensively and also works extensively with young people and adults on helping them understand the self, and then how do they make this journey from self to society. Yogi, we were talking again of how we see transformation, and beyond transformation, as you've written and taught young people, how do we make existing things relevant so that actual transformation and that switch moves? Again, the penetration of vibrations. You can penetrate vibrations in existing things. And the moment you do that, they become relevant. And they become the mosaic of a larger picture that we talked about. So the process is not of analysis but of synthesis. And I think that's the beautiful difference, so to say, which we are bridging between the East and the West. Yes. So in the Western concept of how they see the inner growth and inner consciousness is saying, okay, so show me. Yes. And then I can understand, does it work or not? But in our concept, we say, I feel it. Yes. So I know it works. A shift which is taking place from a mental process to a process of feeling things. Okay. That you feel more for things, then think about them, then analyze them.
So it's a movement coming from the head to the heart.
And this is so beautiful because when you feel, your mind may not agree, but you know. You know, and sometimes you say, I don't know how I know,
Yes.
but I just know.
Exactly.
You know, because we're always looking for the, but how do you know? I think the how just gets us stuck
Yeah.
in wanting to understand and analyze the process rather than saying
So,
you know.
so that's where we were at that stage with the growth of our mental process, mental development, and then we saw that how it left us very lonely. We learned that lesson from the West. And having learned that lesson from the West, we have moved on to integrating our own feelings and slowly getting into the central channel within us, which is the channel of ascent.
Okay. When we talk of feelings, Yogiji, I think feelings, for us even to perceive them with our limited body resources, there's a requirement of space. And today we clutter our lives with so many things, whether it's external media, conversations, people, material things. This whole bit of understanding how I feel, I think we're losing out on that. How do we encourage and bring that back?
Well, now people are realizing that, because the end result of what you just said has been fatigue,
Right.
stress. So people have realized that these things are causing them a lot of stress, and they're taking a lot of spending a lot of money, you can say, to overcome their stress with medicines and health techniques and so forth, and it doesn't work permanently. It's only a temporary relief. So this is helping them now to realize that they need to change their lifestyle. So now young people are moving towards that direction. They're willing to take a little less home, so they get a little more space inside. Earlier on, it was a mad rush for the best paychecks.
Right.
But now people have realized that that's not the end and doesn't get you the satisfaction level. A new term which has now come is a satisfaction level.
Right.
Earlier it was the money level, but now people realize that's not the end game. There is something after that, and that is satisfaction level. You may have the money, but you don't have the satisfaction. So what's the use of that money?
So when we talk of Maslow's hierarchy,
Yes.
and we say that it's not vertical in approach, but there's a slicing. At every level, you need all kinds of nourishment for the
Yes,
individual
yes,
spirit and
yes.
soul.
Yeah.
But this bit about satisfaction, is it also an economic, so is there an economic barrier beyond which you look at it? Because for a lot of people in India, getting a job is so critical.
It's very critical, but I'm talking of a little, the kind of groups that I address who have a little edge over that, who like in the IT, who in the call centers.
So economically,
who are,
they have moved up.
Who moved up an inch, you can say. And they have realized that, you know, these all-night working and coming home, 24/7, and getting, eyes blotched and, spaced out, and, having health problems, digestive problems. It's not working out for them. So they're willing to step back a little, take a little less, so they get more regular working hours. They get a day or two off, so they can be with their families. They can get to spend time with their child, which otherwise they miss out completely.
It's a beautiful saying. It says you spend the first part of your life ruining your health, but earning a lot of money.
Yes.
Then you spend the latter part spending all your money to get your health back.
Get health. Now they've understood it. It's a cycle. As you said in the beginning, they are so desperate for jobs that they'll take anything. But I think now we are inching over that in the next step of the cycle, where what you just said, So now they are looking for that space which we talked about.
All right. You also spoke of, young people and particular educational institutions where you work with, young children have come from outside the country. They learn, study in India.
Yes.
And they also learn Hindi.
Yes.
And when they have a choice to give their final exams, they choose to give it in Hindi.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Because have, for instance, the board exams, you have a choice of a second language. And as a foreigner, you have a choice either to take French or German or Hindi. But they prefer to take Hindi, and they get merit in it.
Wonderful. Okay.
There is a recognition now by the West of the richness of our culture, of our heritage, which probably we don't realize as much, we don't appreciate as much. But they, having missed it in their countries, in the very young nations, they don't have that age-old culture. They've broken homes, broken families, money, 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 nothing else. Now they've realized that that's not enough. There has to be something more.
Okay.
So they look towards India for that.
Right. So what can India look towards the West for in terms of lifestyle choices? What are they doing right, the West is doing right, and we can emulate?
I think the most important thing is cleanliness. We keep our homes very clean. Our kitchens in any Indian home, the poorest of the poor, will be sparkling. Stainless steel utensils, literally shining.
True.
But all that is thrown outside the house, on the streets, or the compound outside, or again outside somebody else's wall.
So it comes back to the point of how do I see me and myself?
Yeah.
Am I just this little island entity?
Yeah.
Or is the me bigger?
Yeah.
Are we together? And that bit of oneness comes in.
So that sense of community, cleanliness, we're number one in personal hygiene in the world. We wash our hands, we use for everything. They use just paper napkins and all that in the West. But when it comes to community cleanliness, we are at the end of the ladder. That's what we have. And I'm very glad that our Prime Minister is taking it up.
Right.
As
it's a national agenda
national
now.
agenda.
I think that is good.
I mean, it could have been done long ago, but I'm very glad at least now it is coming into the collective consciousness again.
Okay, wonderful. So Yogi, when we talk of this collective consciousness, does nature, and I'm sure nature definitely feeds into it, and we are really not in touch with the environment and nature around us.
Not at all.
And the loss is all ours.
Yeah, but therefore it has to begin with this awareness that we are a part of the whole, and that nature is a part of us. Everything we do to nature will rebound on us. So it's a growth of consciousness.
Okay.
Earlier is me and mine has to move to the next step.
From me,
Ours.
From me to we.
Yeah, ours.
It's a simple shift of the M, which becomes a W,
Exactly.
and we become a me to we.
And it all takes place in the consciousness. It's not a lesson learned. This lesson has been taught in ecology, has been taught in every school from the day one, that till it enters our spin, it doesn't work.
So in our day-to-day lives, in how all of us, young and old, live our lives, does competition play a role?
Always. It's always the survival of the fittest everywhere.
And does that clash with the concept of oneness?
It does. It does, because each one wants to reach the top of the ladder, and in the process you pull down the one ahead of you. But those who have learned to connect with their inner spirit have achieved a certain level of inner contentment, and they believe that as long as they are doing their work to their satisfaction, they're not so much dragged into this game. But those who don't have that kind of awareness, are neck to neck in this fight.
Okay. this whole bit about individual values and universal values. So do they come and do they have areas of commonality, or can we have, for the same value, a different view at an individual level and a different view at the
Well,
collective?
you know, if you believe that they are laws of nature, if you believe that they are laws which determine the movement of the planets, then they are universal laws.
Okay.
And then the onus is on us to align ourselves to those universal laws if we want to be in harmony with them and ourselves.
How do we get an indication that we are not in harmony with the universal laws?
When you are unhappy,
The vibrations again.
when you are discontent within, you know that you're not in harmony. So that's the indication.
So how people seek happiness, or how they see joy? Supposedly, I think when we are in tune, it's supposed to be something that you're always in a place of happiness and joy.
Yeah.
But it seems to be elusive, it seems to be dependent on so many external things. How does that reconciliation happen?
Well, Shree Mataji Nirmala Devi has reconciled it very beautifully in a system which she calls Sahaja Yoga.
Okay.
And that is that within you is this energy called the Kundalini. And if you tune into her, she harmonizes you with all the energy points which reflect the universal laws.
Okay.
And then automatically when you're in harmony, you are in joy.
Okay.
But joy is different from happiness. Happiness has the opposite, unhappiness. Joy doesn't have an opposite. It's absolute.
What gives you unhappiness?
A lot of things, when I see people suffering, and especially when you hear about cases of rape, it's how could we do such things? How could we who have evolved
True.
do such a thing? It's haunting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That what has gone wrong? Where have we gone wrong? What happened to these young men? What went so wrong that they couldn't see this? So it's very worrying.
Yeah, and very disturbing. And I
Yeah.
think to find out that how do we then get this right?
I'm not so disturbed by poverty because I don't believe poverty, people who are poor are unhappy.
What gives you joy?
Joy is when one light enlightens another light.
Oh,
That gives joy.
okay. So the spread and the glow
Yes.
and the
And that's why Diwali is such a joyous festival.
wonderful.
Gives such collective joy to everybody.
Wonderful. Yogiji, thank you so much for lighting the lamps here in our program and for spreading that joy over here. But thank you so much. It was wonderful speaking with you.
I really enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.